Good morning students. Today we are here once again for the online classes for Geography class 12. As we had already started book 1, that is Fundamental of Human Geography, and we have completed the first chapter, that is Human Geography, Nature and Scope. Now we'll start the second chapter, that is the World Population. And regarding the world population, we are going to talk about the distribution of population, the density and its growth. So before we start the chapter, let's recapitulate the first chapter where we had ended, that what is the scope of human geography. The scope of human geography is to discuss human beings, how they must have distributed over the surface of earth, what are the migration patterns, how do they live, what are the different types of settlement, what are the different types of economic activities, what kind of trade they do, and what are the transport facilities and communication facilities. So in this way we will be doing all the factors which are associated with human beings. So before we start with that, we'll start with population distribution. As you start the chapter, you will find there is one remark made by George Babcock Cressy. He was an American geographer. He was an author. He has extensively traveled nearly 6 continents, and out of these 6 continents he has traveled 78 countries. His most of the traveling was done in China. So he has mentioned one thing in the book. He has commented while traveling in China, he must have seen and noticed that there are many places in Asia where people are few, and there are few places where people are many. So he wanted to explain with this statement that there is not an even distribution of population over the land. He was worried about the population problem because there will be a drastic situation if population tends to increase and we are not able to increase the arable land or the land mass. So here the first topic we are going to discuss about the distribution of population. Before we start the distribution, how it has been distributed over the earth, you will find there is unevenness over the surface of the earth regarding the distribution. There are some places which are, you will find, are densely populated, and there are some places which are sparsely populated. Just an example. As he remarked that there are many places where people are few, you will find Canada, Russia. I have chosen these two names because these are the two largest countries in the world. And if you talk about the population, it is 3% per square kilometer. Same with Russia, 3% to 4% per square kilometer. Such large landmass and such a small population where people are very few. Now you see in the other side, if we talk about Monaco, if you have not heard of this place, you will find it in Europe. It is bounded by France from 3 sides and one side from Mediterranean Sea. You will be surprised to know that the land it covers is 0.2 kilometers, square kilometers, and it has a population density of nearly 21,000 person per square kilometer. In the same way, if we talk about Macau, the land area is 32 square kilometer, just like the islands of Lakshadweep. It has a population of nearly 1,900 person per square kilometer. So a place which is such a small area and with such a huge population and such a huge landmass and only 3% per square kilometer. So why this differences we see? That is our topic for discussion today. Now to discuss about the distribution is studied in terms of density. So the first question is, what is density? The word density refers to the total population divided by the total area, and this gives us person per square kilometer. This type of density is known as arithmetic density. There are some other ways also to calculate density, like physiological density. You will find this physiological density, this word, while studying India density. Why? Because it studies the ratio between the total population and the total culturable area. It means it will tell you the population pressure on arable land. There is a third type of density that is also known as agricultural density. Which is also known as agricultural density. What is agricultural density? It is total number of people engaged in agriculture and the total area under agriculture. So these are the three different types of densities which are required to know the population pressure on land. The first one is arithmetic density, which is the ratio between the total population and total area. We will be studying about this in this chapter. Then we have physiological density, which studies the population pressure on cultivable land, on arable land, and the third is agricultural density, which studies how many people engaged in agriculture are putting a pressure on our arable land. Now we start about the topic distribution. If I talk about the distribution, we need to know the factors which affect distribution. If I talk about the distribution of population, the factors can be divided into two heads. One is physical factors and the other one is human factors. As we have already studied that human geography deals with both physical environment and human environment, and we cannot separate human from geography. So how physical factors affect the distribution of population? This factor refers to all the geographical factors. What are the geographical factors which will affect the distribution of population? Example, the relief or the location of the place. If I talk about the location of the place, the two things which comes, one is latitude and one is altitude. Latitude means on which latitude your place is located. It is located in torrid zone or temperate zone or frigid zone. And altitude refers to at what height from the sea level. It means the places which are located in torrid zone, which are extremely hot, it can be one reason that you will find the population density is very low. For example, all the western parts of the continents, if you have not noticed till today you open the atlas. I'm sure you all have atlas of your previous classes. You open the atlas and you notice one thing in the world map, that is the physical world map. All the deserts are located in the western parts of the country or the continent. Example, the Thar Desert. Where is Thar Desert? That is in India. If I talk about the West Australian Desert, again in the west, the Kalahari Desert, the Atacama Desert. So it means all these portions, all the countries which are located in these areas will have very less population because of the conditions which can be seen over there. If I talk about the altitude, you will find the regions like Himalayan region, all the high mountainous areas are very sparsely populated because of harsh climatic condition. And not only the climate is harsh, people avoid settling over the rugged mountain terrain because the soil is poor and movement of people is very difficult. There is scarcity of water, so people avoid places such as the rugged mountain terrains. So it comes under the topic relief. That is the one physical factor which affects distribution of population over the world. If I talk about the second feature, is climate. People love to settle in pleasant climatic condition, where climate is suitable, where it is pleasant, it is neither too hot nor too cold. People would love to settle in these areas. For example, the densely populated regions can be seen in and around Mediterranean climate because it has the best climate in the world. And climate is one such factor which will affect the temperature condition and the rainfall condition. So how climate will affect why people move to pleasant climatic condition, why they like to settle down in these climatic conditions. One example, if climate is suitable, then you can grow crops. Or density of population is high. If the density of a region is high, it means the carrying capacity of that land is high. And what do you mean by the carrying capacity of the land? It means you can grow crops easily and more. The production will be high. For example, we are in West Bengal. And you must have heard and you have read, West Bengal is famous for the cultivation of rice. Because of suitable temperature condition and abundant supply of water, we are producing 3 crops of rice. Us, Aman Bodo. You must have done it in class 10. So how can we grow 3 crops? Because our climatic conditions are suitable. So instead of producing crop once a year, our farmers are producing thrice a year, and we can feed more people because the production is throughout the year. Our farmers are busy throughout the year. So how it is possible? Because climate made it possible. Second example. Green Revolution. Green Revolution, I'll take the third factor. If one is climate, water. This is the most important factor. If you, beside relief and climate, the next third most important factor is water. This is one such factor which helps in sustaining life, without which life is not possible at all. Whether we talk about flora, we talk about fauna, or human beings, it is impossible to have life without water. So you will find the cradle of civilization. You have done it in history. All started from the wet points. What are the wet points? It means the river valleys. If we talk about the Yellow River of China, that is one example of earliest civilization. We have then civilization near Tigris and Euphrates River. That is the Mesopotamian civilization. Then we have the civilization near Nile, that is the Egyptian civilization. And how can we forget our own Indus Valley civilization? So we can make out that water is one such factor which attracts people to settle down there. Why? Fishing. It helps in agriculture. It's helping trade. You will find all the towns have grown either near the coastal areas. If not near the coastal areas, then near the river. For example, Delhi. Delhi is near Yamuna River. Your own Siliguri must have grown because we have Mahananda River. So you can see that how a wet pond attracts people to settle down, and slowly and gradually the population in that area starts increasing. Because if you have a river valley, it means you will have fertile soil over there. I was talking about Green Revolution. Green Revolution was successful only in northern part of India. Why? It's not that we have the most fertile soil in the northern part of India. The reason is because of availability of water. The southern part of India, if you see, also receives 4 times more rainfall than the northern part of India by the southwest monsoon. But the problem is, this region is made up of igneous and metamorphic rock. So it is impermeable. So the problem is they cannot have wells and tube wells. Whereas northern India is made up of soft alluvial soil, so we find there is ample scope of getting underground water. Each and every farmer in Punjab, Haryana, they have their own tube wells to get water. And high yielding varieties of seed, as you all know, requires quite a huge quantity of water for their growing period. So water is one factor, one geographical factor, which is responsible for attracting population. So we have done under physical factor, one is relief, one is water, one is climate, and the last one How to ignore soil. The region which has fertile soil will definitely attract more people because it is a source of livelihood for people. So we find all the places which has good fertile soil, the river valleys, they have always been seen with high density. Whether we talk about Bihar, UP, West Bengal, all the places have fertile soil and density of population is also very high. Now we go to the factors which are made by human factors. Human factors definitely, as we know that when we start interacting with the nature, we interact with the nature with the help of technology. And with this interaction, we find that there are some human factors which also has affected or influenced the distribution of population. Example, mining. All those places which are remote, where there was less people, but if they find there are some minerals over there, and slowly and gradually mining starts, people from different areas starts moving to their region. There is one example in Australia, that is Kalgoorlie, that is one mining place for diamond, and people from different areas started moving to this remote area only because of minerals were available. And slowly and gradually it has been seen a mining area turns into a town with the growth of industries. As soon as industry starts growing up, the next process is urbanization. So the human factor which affects the distribution of population is mining, industries, urbanization. You can keep it as one point and explain interlinking with each other. Now, why urbanization must have started attracting people? Urbanization started attracting people because this process was related with the activities, that is economic activities other than agriculture. What is the problem with agriculture? The problem with agriculture is you have seasonal unemployment. You must have seen the tea gardens around you. Do you see people working in tea gardens throughout the year? No. It's only during the months of March and April that you will find that people start going to the tea gardens plucking those new tea leaves. So it means there is a lot of seasonal unemployment if the population is involved in agriculture. So the objective of getting yourself involved throughout the year, having a source of livelihood, option is urbanization. People started moving to urban areas because they had other economic activities which were termed as secondary activity, tertiary activity. And now they can solve the problem of seasonal unemployment. It means assured employment throughout the year. Beside employment, there were other things which were also available to them, that is health facilities, education facilities, transport facilities, communication facilities, which were much better in these areas compared to the areas which are rural in nature. So this is one factor. Once slowly and gradually a place grows into a town or a city and it becomes an urban center, people from different localities, nearby areas, even from distant areas, they start coming and settling down there and increasing the population. As I have talked about, if you talk about the Middle East countries, Bahrain, today you search about Bahrain, you will find the maximum population is of Indian population because they have all migrated to the Middle East countries in search of employment because they have better employment opportunities there. So this was one human factor. Besides this, we have one more human factor, that is related to social, cultural and political factor. Human being, man is a social animal, we all know. So he looks for a society, a peaceful society. He looks for his belongingness in the society where he can live peacefully. So it has been seen that people belonging to one group or one ethnic group tend to settle down in one area, and this also leads to one particular distribution of population in one area. The political or the cultural, the religion is also one factor which attracts people of that particular religion to move towards that region. Political factor can also influence the distribution of population. You must have read about the Tibetans moving away from Tibet with Dalai Lama when there was insecurity in their region. Few years back you have heard about the Rohingyas, how Rohingyas were going back to their own country, Bangladesh, as they were feeling insecure in Rakhine Island in Myanmar. So the political scenario is, if there is political unrest, there is communal riots, there is turmoil, people tend to leave that area and settle in a more peaceful region. So all these factors are related to the distribution of population over the world. It is not only about Asia, because we had started that George B. Cressy made a comment on Asia that there are many places where people are few and there are few places where people are many. He studied in terms of Asia, but he said this is also the picture for the world as well. So these are the factors which we see over the world has reasoned out why population distribution is not even everywhere. It must be uneven because in some places geographical factors are favorable, some places the socio-economic, cultural or political factors are favorable, keeping the population or pulling the population to that region. That's all for this session. Today we end the session for distribution of population with this topic. Thank you.